What is up, YouTube? It is Onion Bomb here. Welcome back to another Honkai Impact 3rd reaction video. We're back once again on the animation lore playlist. 129 out of 210. So definitely making our way through it, but still a bit to go. Especially some of them are a little bit longer. Like I see, the 16-minute video next and a 14-minute video on the horizon. Some very good stuff though, because last time learned a good bit of stuff, especially about Welt, and it's very interesting, very cool to learn. So yeah, keeping it up, and I also like how stuff is chronologically, like stuff prior, to the game, like the first part of the game was at the beginning of the playlist, and now we're kind of like progressing through like the story in a way. So yeah, very cool. First up here we have the philosophy of Project Stigma. This one is only 4 minutes. Let's go.
When we talk about Project Stigma,
I think it was just the video in the video was a bit low. I thought that was me, and I was like, wait, what? Did my headphones off? The settings off? Sorry.
When we talk about Project Stigma prior to recent, we would think about the terror attack on Ark City that was narrowly prevented. It was an event that was a no-brainer for the good guys to disagree because killing people is bad. But with the newest chapter, things may be a bit different as we see what the real Project Stigma really is. It's a process that would melt humanity into a single shared consciousness, which in theory would free them from the Honkai nuisance. The pioneers of this plan believed humanity was too weak and something drastic must be done, and they designate Stigma as the worst plan among all, as it's
Among Us,
an idea born from a concept that will spark many fun discussions online. Yet, as bad as this sounds, it is also based on a belief that many people subscribe to: utilitarianism. In a recent comic that has left me and many others disturbed even though people have a hard time explaining why, it shows a time traveler who came to the far future to only find out that the human race has locked themselves into machines that hack their brains to give them an unending bliss forever. Why does this seem bad? When you think about it, most people can agree that the whole point of life is to enjoy it as much as possible. But when we can just turn our life into just nothing but pleasure, it feels wrong. The argument presented here is quite similar to what Stigma has to offer. In Stigma, everyone will be put into a dream where all their hopes and desires come true, and where there are no suffering, forever and ever. If you do believe in maximizing your own happiness, you would agree to leave your former life behind and accept this dream as your new reality, because this way it will guarantee that you will always be happy. But would you? There was this fascinating thought experiment conducted by Robert Nozick, where he had participants answer whether they would accept to be plugged into a machine that will make all their experience for the rest of their lives almost completely pleasurable. Most of them said no. The conclusion that was drawn was that people wants to do something, not just have the experience of doing it. When you grind Minecraft for that full enchanted netherite gear, it's not the same as going creative and giving yourself all those things. People want to work towards becoming a certain type of person. In Stigma, you can just simply be anything. If you can just be a professional gamer that never lost the game, if you can just be a successful YouTuber, then what is there left to do? In short, who we are is just as important as how we go about our daily life, as we also spend that time to become the person we want to be. In an anime that may or may not have inspired this game's entire existence, Evangelion tackled this idea with the Human Instrumentality Project. It follows Shinji as he goes through the process as he imagined what his life would be like if he wasn't an EVA pilot. A life that he was able to be carefree, like a normal teenager. A dream that he will eventually reject, because in instrumentality, You are a nobody. He accepts the pain and the struggle life has to offer and seeks to grow from it. He wants to be an individual rather than to fade into nothingness, which brings us to stigma. Sure, the way it was framed and emphasized made it very easy to throw our weight behind the opposition, but at face value, when we look at the argument presented, it made sense, which is why it's so disturbing. The only people we see willingly put themselves into this are only those Vote Serpent fanatics, while everybody else just kinda got dragged into it. It's fair to say that this current arc will come to a similar conclusion to what Neon Genesis gave us, or just goes through End of Evangelion. But in any case, I hope this video made you think about the ethical concerns behind doing something that completely changes the basis of who we are. So now, what are some of your thoughts on Project Stigma? Let me know down below. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. Oh, and Merry Christmas.
Oh, Merry Christmas. 2 years ago, Potato Almanac. Oh, wait, that's Merry Christmas. There's the philosophy of Project Stigma. What a way to get festive. But yeah, interesting though. Definitely a interesting thought about like, stuff like that. And he brought up Evangelion, but there was also Naruto. There was a little bit of that towards well, I won't say it's just in case no one's seen it, or someone hasn't seen it, but at some point in Naruto, that is kind of like, that is a thing about like being in your like dreams, pretty much. You're living your dreams, but it's not really real. And I think maybe like that kind of argument kind of sort of similar to like AI stuff, generative AI stuff, that there's just like a lack of realness to it. I think that's also an aspect to it. Not only the fact about like, wanting to like do it yourself and like work for it, but I feel like there's also the cheap factor of it. It doesn't feel real almost. And now don't get me wrong, if someone like wants to have fun and like just generate a weird picture, I don't really like care or crash out about it, but I think overall, if you're like looking for like a serious like design thing or any sort of like graphic thing, like getting from a real human artist, I think is the way to go. I think sometimes some people can be a little bit too harsh when it comes to the AI stuff, but there's a real like fear and criticism there, definitely. And I just kind of similar, not to get off topic, but it just a little similar. Very interesting to learn that also about Project Stigma. Here's another a little bit longer one, understanding Project Sigma. No way, I just said that, bro. No, I'm sorry, man. I spend too much time on the internet, apparently. I can't believe I just said that, brain rot. Understanding Project Stigma, the worst in all caps, plan explained. I believe I got this from Homu Labs, and
one of the most interesting things about the new story arc is how drastically different Project Stigma turned out to be from what people expected. To be fair, Project Stigma was always a topic about which we didn't know much, but from the little that we knew, people thought that they kinda had a rough idea about the project. Well, apparently not. This turned out to be much more complicated than anyone expected. It's like whoever took the human instrumentality project from Evangelion and Infinite Tsukuyomi from Naruto.
Oh! Well, I guess that's what I was talking about. I guess we're not caring about spoil. I haven't seen Evangelion, so hopefully we don't get too deep. We may have already have, but it's alright. I'm not really like, I don't really know too much about either, so it shouldn't really stick.
Them together and came up with something much more convoluted. I know, Project Stigma is confusing, but if you dig really deep, and by that I mean really deep, it makes a lot of sense when you consider the nature of the Honkai and what kind of story this is. So, to all the confused captains gathered here, welcome. Today we're explaining Project Stigma Balls. Okay, before you click off the video, I had to do it. I'm a weak man, what can I say? I promise you, that was the first and the last time. Now, let's
Between that and Project Sigma, I probably lost people on this video.
Project Stigma Ball.
But
そう
Stigma ball.
私たちは人類とは何か再定義する
One of the easiest ways to understand Project Stigma is to understand Mobius. I was always fascinated by this line when ER was first introduced. Then, after playing it and getting to know Mobius as a character, it started to make more sense. It is said during ER that each flame chaser has its own idea about what fighting the Honkai means, but at the end of the day, they all want the same thing, a world without Honkai. Among all the flame chasers, Mobius was one who challenged the Honkai on a philosophical level. What is human civilization? It is you, me, all of us? No, it's the sum of all the human interactions, ideas and culture passed down through history. Humanity is not you, not me, but everything that we all pass down through our existence. So, when Mobius said that we need to redefine civilization, she basically proposed to find a way to let the idea of civilization exist without humans. Thus, she came up with the prototype for what we call Project Stigma. Project Stigma is one of the 4 projects developed by Moth in an attempt to defeat the Honkai in the new era, alongside Project Arc, Valuka, and Ember. But, as we recently learned, Stigma was the only project which had a real chance at doing so. Unfortunately, it's also the worst project from a human thinking perspective, because it literally requires for all humans to die. At the request of Dr. May, Mobius redesigned the project at least 15 times. Initially, the project was supposed to awaken the stigma genes inside every human on Earth, but because very few people had the necessary Honkai resistance to withstand the power of a stigma, only less than 1% of the human population could awaken it. In the current era, we see Jackal experimenting with this version of the project during chapters 13 and 14. Of course, in the end, World Serpent deemed the original version impractical and went with the more refined version that we see in game today. Interestingly enough, in the recent chapters, we can see that Project Stigma was way more important for Moth than we thought. I always believed that it was more of a fail-safe plan in case they lose the battle against the Harsher of Finality, but the recent chapters implied quite otherwise. It seems to me that the Moth never really thought that they could stop the Harsher of Finality, and even the fight on the moon was to prepare for Project Stigma in the new era. From the very beginning, their plan for defeating the Honkai was never going to be realized in their era. Pardo literally died because she opened the door to let them hack the finality, while the others tried to stall the Harsher. It was never about winning for them, which changes a lot my perspective of Kevin and his actions in the current era. I always saw him as a man who lost the battle against the Honkai and tried to use the new era to set things right. But no, he never lost the fight. He was fighting all this time, and Project Stigma is not a fail-safe plan. Project Stigma is the plan. I feel like people got the wrong impression of Kevin. He isn't just a heartless monster that wants to defeat the Honkai at any cost. but he does what he does because he has no other choice. He doesn't like Project Stigma either, that's why he tries to make the Hershers and the people of the new era understand what Honkai is. He even fought Kiana May and Bronya using the authority of finality to let them experience it. But at the same time, he lacks faith in the current era. He's not going to sit around and gamble on a possibility like Alicia did. Until someone comes up with a better plan, he will not stop. In the second key manga, Kevin tried to implement the project 1500 years ago, but Sue stopped him. As Sue was about to seal both himself and Kevin in the Sea of Quanta, Kevin threw him out and told him to continue Project Valuka. This scene shows very well what kind of person is Kevin. He wanted to believe in Sue and the other projects, but at the same time, he knew that it was pointless. He's a very complex character, but I get why people might miss that. His complexity comes from an inner struggle. He is not like Ado, who likes to put himself out there and mess with everyone. Kevin is quieter, more introspect, but nonetheless a very well realized character. Just like May said, he's not an enemy but a rival. To understand the current version of Project Stigma, we need to understand what kind of being is Hare. Before continuing, I highly recommend you to watch my other video about Stigmata, since it can help you obtain a much easier understanding
think we
of the
watched
concept.
that one.
If not, that's okay, I still try to explain it in an understandable manner. Hare is a form, a new species of humans brought forth by Project Stigma. In very simple terms, forms are ideas that come from the human consciousness that are projected into reality by Project Stigma through Stigma spaces. Basically, Project Stigma turns human ideas into something similar to a stigma and projects them back as being similar to Hare. Red Cele and the Wheel of the Kaslana Stigma are also forms. The humanoid creatures that attacked Kiana and the rest inside the strange imaginary space from chapter 33 were seeds of ideas. Artificial life forms temporarily staying in an incomplete state due to Project Stigma not being complete. They encapsulate a human idea and will become the new humans when Project Stigma is done. Hare is the crystallization of the Shariak Stigma. She was born after the second eruption when Cecilia Stigma lost its balance due to her using the power of the holy blood to the extreme. Because Cecilia interacted with the Hersher of the Void at the same time, some anomalies happened in imaginary space and made her stigma crystallize into an unstable form. I will explain Hare and her past in another video because she's a lot more complex than that, but what's important about her is her power called dream catching that allows Hare to trap humans into dreams. Please note that when they say dreams in game, they refer to something similar to Stigma spaces. Now that we know the origins of Project Stigma, let's talk about the project itself. What is Project Stigma? Well, the project itself does a lot of things that are explained using a lot of different analogies in the game. In essence, Hare's ability put all the people on Earth inside dreams. In their dreams, people live an ideal version of their lives, while Project Stigma takes away their ideas and transforms them into forms. Note that in the context of Project Stigma, the words idea and narrative are used very loosely to encapsulate a lot of meanings. So, let's explain them. All forms of narratives first exist in imagination before being made into reality. A fictional story is a narrative. Programming code is also a narrative for machines. An engineering blueprint is a narrative on how to build. Basically, any thought, idea or concept that comes from the human imagination is a narrative. So Project Stigma comes in and says, if humans are creatures of ideas, why is reality necessary? Why not just exist purely as ideas, fiction and dreams? Forms are a new species that can exist as narratives. Project Stigma wants to take humanity's narratives and transcend them into imaginary concepts that can exist and function on their own. Like getting rid of the writer and giving the story the ability to continue on its own. Because forms are living ideas, they are imaginary creatures in nature that carry on the narratives of human civilization. From the perspective of Project Stigma, the individual is not important, but what the individual represents is what truly matters. In short, the idea of you is more important than you. Vilvi puts it very well in chapter 31EX when she says the following.
つまり誰がビルビーになったとしてもビルビーの才能こそがこの世界で最も大事なものってこと？
What a person can do and pass down is more important than the person itself. You will eventually die, but your narratives will survive and shape civilization down the line in their unique way. Project Stigma takes those ideas and transcribes them into forms that can exist on their own. Let's do a small imagination exercise. Close your eyes and imagine a subscribe button. Now, press it. Turn green, right? Now open your eyes and do the same with the subscribe button below this video.
He's smooth with it, but I've already hit the subscribe button a few videos ago.
Now, the idea of you subscribing came into your mind first, and after that you acted in reality and created the narrative of subscribing to Homu Labs. Pretty cool, right? But you may ask, Homu, how does this stop the Honkai? Well, to explain this, we'll have to talk about the true nature of the Honkai. Prometheus says that reality binds fiction. Let's say that I like to play video games, right? The first thing that you
Hey, is that CSGO? I was actually just playing it the other day. Or not the other day, like a few hours ago. My one friend's been inviting me to it, and I never played it too much, but I've been playing it recently, and yeah, it's alright. It's fun, but it's a harder shooter, I think.
When you hear that, is to associate me with the idea of a loser, I mean gamer. From your perspective, I represent an abstract idea of a gamer in reality. In that moment, the idea of gamer gets a form and is no longer abstract or free. It becomes reality through me. Now, think of Honkai as an abstract idea that exists on its own. Honkai is basically an imaginary entity not bound by reality that loves to be the protagonist of its own story. It's a form of narrative that hates reality because it's like a cage for it. Ado says it best in chapter 27.
おそらく律者こそが最終的な自由。我々の文明はむしろ崩壊を禁錮し、歪みを生む枷なのかもしれない。
Civilization is a cage that imprisons the Honkai. Because of this, Honkai, which is basically fiction, cannot accept reality and wages war against it. Basically, Honkai is an imaginary force that by nature destroys reality. Everything that is real, it's an enemy. It's not something that uses emotions or things, and it's definitely not an entity that wants to embrace us in the way that most of you think. The whole Honkai wants to embrace us is a misinterpreted analogy that I will explain in my next video. Thus, Project Stigma aims to transform life into an imaginary existence that is independent from reality, just like the Honkai, and that will be able to peacefully coexist with it. That is why Schrödinger calls Project Stigma a web that can absorb the power of finality. It creates a web of ideas to stop the spreading of finality. Hershers and Stigma Awakened are in an opposing relationship with each other. Hershers rip the space apart and create imaginary singularities through which even more Honkai seeps into reality. Stigmata can balance that process by being imaginary in nature and being able to absorb Honkai energy. As we saw in the Strange Space from chapter 33, because both Hershers and Stigma Awakened were present, the space around them has stabilized and continued to expand indefinitely, trapping them inside. But as soon as they got separated, the space was no longer stable and it could be ripped apart by the Hershers to get out. Meanwhile, the dreams that trapped the real humans will slowly fuse into a metaphysical being that encapsulates humanity's collective unconsciousness, which Grey Serpent calls Adam Ruhani, meaning spiritual Adam. Dr. May calls the Honkai the result of a civilization becoming one will. So, in another sense, Project Stigma facilitates the evolution of the human civilization into a godlike being similar to the Honkai. Hair refers to humanity as the childhood of civilization, implying that both Finality and Project Stigma tries to force the evolution of humanity through different means. While Honkai wants to destroy humanity in the process, Project Stigma wants to preserve the idea of humanity through forms. I really hope that this video helped you understand Project Stigma and Kevin. If you have any other things from chapters 32 and 33 that you did not understand and you'd like to see a video about it, leave a comment down below. Take care and I'll see you next time.
Alright, interesting. Very good video by Homu Labs. So yeah, definitely understanding Project Stigma a little more and how it's like, you know, it's like a dream thing. I do remember it said something about like, you know, it was in like other stuff. It was, you know, kind of like against humanity. I think maybe I'm thinking of something else. I don't know, but to distinct it more is pretty cool. That was a very good informative video though. Now I know about like Project Stigma and you know what it actually was. And Kevin, interesting. Like he does. I always knew he wasn't like 100% like I guess evil, but I guess he really is just like, you know, like so just hell bent on trying to stop the Honkai, just trying to like, you know. Do it by any means necessary. Definitely in that moral gray area. Not definitely not a hero. Definitely more of a villain than a hero. At least I think that's what I'm gathering. But maybe there's some like heart there, and they're trying to like the want to get rid of the Honkai. Maybe I don't know. Alright, this next one is an official upload. It's a cutscene. We got Reunion. Maybe, probably something I've seen before, but let me see. Oh, this is Kiana and Durando. I think I do remember something like this.
ここにいる。
行きましょう。ジークフリートさんを助けに。
律者の力がどんどん消されていく。
慌てないで。聖魂のルールは聖魂で超えましょう。シャニアテの名で命じる。黒煙に咲く白花よ。その力をすべて解き放て。
She mentioned that stigmata that made me keep talking.
キアナさん、今です。
わかった。パパ
そうだ。今日はお前の誕生日だったな。今まで祝ってやれず、本当に父親失格だ。でかいケーキを買ってちゃんと祝おう。
パパ、おかえり。
Welcome home. So he Siegfried, he was in the whatever that was, and they just freed him from it. All right, they went like a happier moment, I guess you could say, in Honkai. Finally. Then I remember that kind. I remember like Durandal and Kiana like later in like around this time, like kind of being together. But I didn't remember them like freeing Siegfried like that, their dad like that. So their dad, right? Kiana's dad, Durandal's dad too, I think, aren't they? I that's still a little confusing for me, but I think I was like Durandal was like the original Kiana, and Kiana was like it's like a clone, like one of the many clones. Like, that's still not 100% wrapped around the noggin, but I think I have something there. But yeah, that was really cool. Seeing like Kiana and Durandal in action together. That was pretty sick. May Hirsch of Origin Transformation.
主役準備はいいかしら。ええ、このステージを任せるわね。
Oh, this is her. Oh, this is the transformation. Ooh. Hey.
At the end of chapter 33, the main cast was finally able to leave the moon and get back to Earth, or what's left of it anyway. We start the chapter by having our eardrums explode because of Rosalia and Lilia, who are living a happy life where they get to
Wait, I'm sorry. That we slid a little to a reunion and origin chapter. Oh, okay, this is basically what just happened.
and
Okay.
have fun every day inside a dream created by Project Stigma. After that, we see how different dreams affect the Earth's population. Fuhua explains that the deep was once part
What was that? Was that? Damn, bro, what is that? Is that Otto, Welt, and Kevin as like an idol group?
affect the Earth's population. Fuhua explains that the deep was once part of a city called Atra, and because of the connection with the moon through the Stargate, the moon base was named New Atra after the ancient city. The deep remained relatively safe and unaffected by Project Stigma due to its former connection with the Sea of Quanta. The girls split up in 3 ships, in groups. Kiana and Mei, who are tasked with checking out the space around, Fuhua and Senti, who investigate the damage done by Project Stigma, and Bruna and Sele, who search for resources left behind by anti-entropy. While making their way to the surface, Fuhua reveals that the snake form that Kevin took in the Sea of Quanta to talk with Welt and Sele is called Kukulkan, one of the many incarnations of the Vipralopa-class Honkai beast Brahma, and a result of Project Chimera. Bruna and Sele get to the surface and find Susana, who just woke up in the deep not too long ago. They re-establish communication with Chixel and AE, and Nagamitsu confirms that she launched Susana into the deep using the Cosmic Juggernaut to protect her from Project Stigma. Kiana was searching for an anchor in space that they could use to leave the deep, but the only thing she could sense are the remains of Saint Freya, which are spread in every direction of the space. Nagamitsu and Tesla confirm because Saint Freya was one of the first places affected by Project Stigma, its residue data basically scattered everywhere, and that's why Kiana can sense it. Luckily, they can use this opportunity to reclaim the space and move closer to the main battlefield. A couple hours later, Kiana and the rest are about to put their plan in action. The plan is as follows. Step 1. Get Durandal and Sushang back from the imaginary space. Step 2. Use the Harsher of the Void's power and Sumeru to locate the scattered data of Saint Freya through all dimensions. Step 3. Use imaginary renormalization to put all the scattered data together and recreate the space. And step 4, reorganize there and continue with the plan to counter Project Stigma. But as Kiana is repeating the plan in her mind, the 4-step plan quickly became a 3-step plan since Durandal and Sushang were already rescued from the imaginary space without her realizing. Meanwhile, Teresa wakes up in a space called the Planet Directory, which serves as a main hub for Project Stigma. There, she meets Siegfried, who reveals that because Kevin took all the power of the Chimera, he ended up following its traces here from the Caslana Stigmata space. After fighting through hordes of imaginary constructs, I Lambda appears and warns them that Kiana will soon alter this space and that they are in danger. She can help Teresa escape, but she cannot help Siegfried since the form we see now is just a projection of his consciousness in imaginary space and he is actually still trapped in the Caslana Stigmata space. Kiana and the rest finally reach Saint Freya, where they find Teresa collapsed. She tells them about Siegfried and they decide to go and save him. For that to happen, they need to find a way inside the Caslana Stigmata space. Durandal reveals that she is the awakened of the Caslana Stigmata and that she can sense the traces left behind by Teresa's dream devouring to pinpoint the exact location of the space. Kiana and Durandal reach the Caslana Stigmata space, but because Teresa is weakened and the rest are not compatible with the space itself, they are not able to enter. The sisters team up and manage to rescue Siegfried.
Okay, so that's what happened
doesn't know
there.
how to approach the situation, but after she musters her courage, she tells Siegfried about what happened in the Caslana Stigmata space. The photo she kept from that day syncs her memories with Siegfried and Kiana, and after a seemingly awkward reunion, Kiana gives them a little push and they all end up in a big group hug. Back at Saint Freya, Rita already told Teresa about Durandal's real identity, and she was the only person in the entire game that was actually surprised by it. The girls return with their father, and the two sisters are given some time alone to process their feelings. After another touching moment of Kianaception, we found out that Mei went missing ever since they returned from imaginary space. Act 2 starts with I Lambda trying to wake up the people trapped inside the dreams, including Rosa and Lily, by giving them hints about their situation. While looking through the Project Stigma's main net, she finds the manifestation of the Grey Serpent network and even May's dreams, who she is very surprised to see captured by Project Stigma. The Golden Serpent responsible for maintaining Project Stigma approaches her with a very cynical attitude and almost zero understanding of humanity's nature. I personally found the discussion between the two very fascinating. We have I Lambda, who calls the dreams made by Project Stigma fragile because they are only a shallow imitation of human life. To her, curiosity and the drive to move forward are the foundation of human existence, and that's something that Stigma cannot replicate. It's a fascinating discussion about the nature of humanity from the perspective of two outsiders. Anyway, I digress. In the end, Lambda's consciousness gets absorbed by the Stigma space. Since she started thinking in the same way as a human, Project Stigma recognized her as one and started to affect her. Inside her dream, May is at an amusement park together with Bronya and Kiana. While searching for a new attraction, they stumble upon Guide Elysia, who offers her professional guide services to show them around. They follow her to different attractions and games, and they even start a treasure hunt together. While searching for treasures, May realizes that she's inside a dream due to Elysia constantly planting hints for her. Ellie, who is a manifestation of May's signets, guides her further and reveals that the final treasure can lead May out of the dream. If you remember back in chapter 31, Vilvi said that she left a backdoor inside May's mind when she left the Elysian realm. Well, it seems that she wasn't kidding. With the help of the compass, May is back in reality where she reunites with Kiana and Bronya. She tells them about the backdoor left by Vilvi, and Teresa takes them to Salt Lake Base to meet up with AE and discuss their plans for moving forward. A few hours later, Einstein and Tesla talk about their findings.
Did Kiana and Bronya, did they ever meet like Alicia and any of the Elysian Realm 13 Flame Tracer people? Of course, you know, like Kevin and like Fuha, of course, but like mainly like the ones that like didn't really like they were like just in that like section of the story.
Says that the reason why Kevin is so confident that Project Stigma can...
The reason I asked that, it was because like I thought like the dream, I thought I saw like Kiana, Bronya, May, and Alicia doing the like the tour thing, but I guess that was in May's head.
Purge Honkai is because the project will synchronize the new humans with the cocoon of finality by spreading the authority to all of them. After studying the beacon left for May, Tesla realizes that it tries to transmit a message, but it has no recipient. Einstein thinks that the recipient might be the authority of origin, and that they could use it to perfect their plan of seizing the authority of finality if they manage to find it. Anti-entropy and Schicksal's plan consist of 3 parts. First, reclaiming the Earth. Because the Kasana Stigma space that Teresa took from Kevin is one of the endpoints for Project Stigma, Nagamitsu wants to use it to reverse the project and restore the spaces that were codified. Second, transcending finality. As the name suggests, this plan is all about taking control of the authority of finality. In order to do this, AE planned to transform Kiana into an artificial Herrscher of finality by surgically implanting all Herrscher cores inside her. Unfortunately, they severely underestimated Kiana's situation, and because of the disaster caused by the Herrscher of the Void, they lost hope for this plan. Only after studying the Herrscher of Domination, they realized that all the Herrscher cores are linked to the Cocoon of Finality and not directly to the imaginary tree as they initially thought. Tesla explains that the Cocoon of Finality is the only true Herrscher core, and all the other Herrschers are simply projections of its powers through different dimensions. The Herrscher of Finality was granted the authority of time to keep resetting the world until it finds the right embrace for humanity. This plan is directly tied with the third one, which is exploring the origin. They believe that the compass can lead them to the authority of origin, which was lost in imaginary space for 50,000 years, and can gather the missing authorities for them to complete the plan. An hour later, Durandal and Teresa use the Kasrana Stigma space and the Abyss Flower to restore Earth's space to its initial state, allowing Nagamitsu and the Cosmic Juggernaut to anchor it back to reality. Back at Saint Freya, Bronya points out that they need to hack into the mainnet and manipulate Project Stigma in their favor if they want to get the authority of origin. The real codifier behind the project is a husk monster that Word Serpent controls through the power of finality. Bronya traces the strings created by the defeated monsters and manages to transport herself, May and Kiana to the mainnet. There, they defeat Husk existentialism and Bronya opens up a path for May. The compass finally responds to a signal and transports May to a space that looks like a train station. There, the original Vilvi's voice is heard through the compass, and it is revealed that the beacon was never a way to find the authority of origin, but only a message from Vilvi to Alicia. Well, I guess that not even that can stop Vilvi from trolling us, huh?
Act 3.
Act 3 starts with a conversation between Raven and May at the train station. Grey Serpent traps May inside another dream, but Raven was subtly trying to warn her about his plan this whole time by giving the Herrscher hints during their dialogue. Grey Serpent saw Raven's actions as betrayal and kicked her out from the organization, threatening to even kill her if May escapes the dream because of her hints. May wakes up in an empty white space and sees multiple versions of herself during different moments in her life. Due to the hints given by Raven, she realizes that this dream tries to rewrite her past and create a world where her regrets do not exist. In an incredible display of maturity and growth, May doesn't fall for it and breaks apart the space from the dream, revealing that her Herrscher persona is back. May realized that she's actually her Will of Stigma that awakened when her father implanted the Gem of Conquest inside her body to save her life from a deadly illness. Since she had a stigma at that time, the will inside her stigma was awakened as the Herrscher of Thunder. The Wheel of Stigma was recreated now because of Project Stigma. She laments the fact that she gave all her powers to May in order to save Kiana, just for her to let Kiana put herself in danger by becoming the Herrscher of Finality. She calls May weak and tells her that because of that, Kiana has to sacrifice herself over and over. May responds by saying that she wants to respect Kiana's decisions from now on and that she will not try to restrain her anymore. She tells the Wheel of Stigma that she is the weak one instead because she is only trying to hide in fantasies of a false reality in which she thinks that she'll be happy. In the end, the Wheel of Stigma accepts May's perspective and sends her off to confront Obito. Grey Serpent. The Ugly Serpent used May as an experimental subject to see if he could replace all Stigma Awakened with their Wheel of Stigmata, but unfortunately for him, his fate was already decided by somebody else. While fighting May, his limbs suddenly began to spasm and twist as he fell to the ground. May inspects his body and learns that Grey Serpent 1904, aka the coolest Grey Serpent, which was also the Grey Serpent that recruited Hair and was taking care of the kids on the moon, was against Project Stigma and planned to destroy the whole Grey Serpent network with Jackal's help. After the fight is over, Durandal gets into contact with May and tells her that a domain of unknown origins in space is approaching her. May is transported back to the train station and sees Elysia's crystal in the distance. After vanquishing her doubts and fears that held her back, May's emotions and desire to see Elysia again bring the authority of origin to her. It is revealed that Vilvi's message was basically a big gamble which used May's desire for reuniting with Elysia to make the authority of origin come to her. May and Elysia's lingering image formed by the authority of origin have a heartwarming reunion, after which May takes on the authority and becomes the new Herrscher of Origin.
So that's how that happened. Interesting. And that was the video, that was the cutscene, and then May's transformation. Interesting, man. That was a very good recap. Like, I felt like I was like playing that part of the game, or like watching like that part of the, like, you know, like a movie thing. That was very good. You know, the story being there, and yeah, very, very cool, very cool. So we got the Siegfried reunion, and Kiana's the Herrscher of Finality now. May's the Herrscher of Origin. Bronya also, I think, is her final Herrscher form maybe at this time. I forget the yeah, I'm pretty sure looking at it like that. I forget the name of it though at the top of my head, but very, very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. Alright, now we have another cutscene. This one's Transcend.
終焉の眉、どんどん近くなっています。心配しないで。キアナちゃんはもう光だけを追いかける子じゃないわ。
今のあなたは他人を照らす炎、耐えられない過去も
あなたの力にしかなりません。
Was that Otto and Callan, those like things, statues? Oh, this is her transformation, I think, to finality, perhaps. May have said that a little premature. Ooh. Aurora Borealis at this time of year, at this time. Hey. Hey. Finality. And now they're all three, their final form. Let's go. Oh, that was pretty sick. I think I may have seen that before. I'm not sure, but them all three like together, that was sick. And I've said this multiple times already, but the Hersher finality design on Kiana, very, very cool. Very cool looking battle suit, I guess, if you want to use the terminology. Alright, the end of part 1, chapter 35, story recap. I don't know if this is like genuinely the end of part 1 or we might have some things coming. Yeah, I was debating to do if I was gonna do this one last video or maybe wait for next time if it'd be more fitting, or I don't know. I'm gonna do this last video, so
we start
one
the
more.
chapter with Prometheus relaying the events that happen with Dr. May in the Bubble Universe to Kevin. His stoic reaction angers the AI, and apparently Kevin never got the memo that's something that you should never do. Hare reveals that Project Stigma is not a permanent solution because it doesn't eliminate Honkai, it only temporarily imprisons it in Kevin's body. Because of that, he will never be able to truly die, and he will be forced to live alone in an empty world. After that, she returns the name Hare to the man and leaves World Serpent. As Mistalin and Prometheus are about to leave, the AI turns around and slaps Kevin, expressing her anger to leave. The AI turns around and slaps Kevin, expressing her anger towards him because the man didn't even shed a tear for Dr. May's gesture. Rita, Sushang and Susana arrive at Mount Taishuan after traveling through imaginary space. Susana doesn't feel very well and remains behind. Rita and Sushang defeat the monsters that are codifying the space and reclaim it by using Sushang's ability as a stigma awakened. As they advance, they notice a lot of dead imaginary constructs. They meet up with Susana, who was the one that defeated all those monsters while searching for them. Rita remarks that she managed to do that at the same speed as her and Sushang. Man, S-rank what? The B-rank Valkyries in this world do be powerful. The Valkyries find a mirage of the residents that are still trapped inside the dreams created by Project Stigma, and Rita points out that even if they manage to reclaim the space, waking the people up is an entirely different matter. Shikso told the people that woke up from their dreams that the Great Eruption is happening right now as a cover-up story for Project Stigma. In an earlier discussion, Einstein theorized that the cocoon of finality must be located deep inside the aggregation of human dreams. Since the Stigma space can manifest every desire a person has inside the dream, a lot of people chose to stay inside their dreams instead of waking up. Let's be honest, who would blame them? Life sucks, man. Sorry, I haven't seen my therapist this week. Since the collective dream represents complacence, Teresa wants to enter the spiritual Adam and stir up the sense of individuality inside people's hearts to make them want to wake up on their own. By weakening the spiritual Adam, they also be able to locate the cocoon of finality. Oh, and while all of this is happening, May returns to the planet directory and reunites with Kiana and Bronya. Kevin also enters the collective dreamland to observe the people inside the dreams, and we see one of his memories from long ago when he attended one of the speeches of a philosopher in ancient Greece. This moment serves as a reflection of Kevin's character and mindset. During the first speech of the philosopher, he is not sure what to do. He ponders if Project Stigma is the right thing to do, and if humanity is doomed to repeat the same mistake regardless of its efforts in changing the final outcome. Then, during the second speech, he already made up his mind to implement the project. He doesn't want to, but he needs to. To this, the philosopher presents to him the idea of a hero who wishes to have his ideals stumbled by others. Basically telling him that if he is not capable to come up with a better solution, maybe someone else will. During the last speech, the philosopher tells Kevin about the legend of Icarus, pointing out that some people do certain things to serve as a cornerstone for others to overcome, reflecting his exact philosophy in the present day. He still feels like Project Stigma is the only solution, but he also believes that he can serve as an example for the people of the new era and inspire them to surpass him and find a better solution. Meanwhile, we see Teresa entering different dreams. From a schoolyard full of children, a gloomy
like SpongeBob in that one episode. They had to like Gary's dream and everyone's dream. They were mad at him at the end.
Away from their problems to a sandy beach with a dying elderly man. Kevin becomes aware of Teresa's actions and starts following in her footsteps. While walking through the dreamland, he encounters Durandal. They have a conversation in which Kevin tells her that Project Chimera integrated the dreams of all the Honkai beasts inside his body, creating a shadow that is constantly followed by the cocoon of finality. At the end of their discussion, Durandal acknowledges his efforts as a member of the Caslana family. She also praises him for allowing Sue the chance to find a better solution with Project Valuka, even if he knew that it was all meaningless, just like how he is allowing them right now to find a way to surpass him. As the spiritual Adam starts losing its form, the Honkai beasts from Kevin's shadow are restoring it back to normal. Faced with a new crisis, they come up with another plan. Because the cocoon of finality is constantly chasing Kevin's shadow, they could sever a small part of it and use it to reverse locate the cocoon. For this plan to work, they send Sushang to convince Senti to call.
I think I may have seen that before, but why does that not look too May with the mask and helmet on? That is sick. That is really cool. I probably have seen that before. I probably said the same thing, but that is really cool. It's familiar, definitely. So it's not like this feels like brand new, but I don't know. It's just because I know I've seen this Hersher form before. I just wasn't sure if it was like that complete, but that is very cool.
Small part of it.
They cooked with those designs. Cooked.
For this plan to work, they send Sushang to convince Senti to cooperate. Back in the dreamland, Kevin absorbs various Honkai beasts with his chimera powers and looks through their dreams. Most of them are images of desolated planets from the solar system that Finality visited before it set its eyes on Earth. As he kept absorbing more dreams, he realized that the Honkai beasts were controlled by the Hersher of Sentience, who was using them to attack the Chimera's source inside his body. Senti tries her best to stall Kevin, but in the end she is defeated and Durandal takes her place. Kevin noticed that she is not using her holy blade. While he was distracted, Fu Hua, using her active Honkai reaction, cuts a small piece from his shadow with Durandal's blade. The shadow turns into a torch in her hand. Then we see a flashback from the previous era when Fu Hua used her active Honkai reaction for the first time and lost control of herself. Because of the mental restraint imposed by the Swara, she was bound to see all her comrades and even herself as enemies. Dr. May told her that if she was to use that power again, because of Garuda's healing abilities, she would enter a perpetual loop in which she will attack herself and heal at the same time. In the present day, since her Swara was damaged 500 years ago by her disciples, she can utilize her active Honkai reaction without losing herself. After getting into contact with the authority of finality from Kevin's shadow, she realizes that he's no different from her back then. Because Kevin isn't an actual Hersher, the authority constantly destroys his body, but because Chimera also has Garuda's genes, he's healed almost instantly. Back at the planet directory, Senti passes the stolen torch to Teresa. As she comes into contact with it, she can barely hold it because of the pain. Honkai beasts, attracted by the torch, start attacking them, and they must stop them from extinguishing the flames. While Cele takes all the dreamlands belonging to humans away to protect them, Teresa removes all the limiters on her battlesuit and undergoes her own Honkai active reaction. She thought that this process will change her into some kind of monster, but when she opened her eyes, her body was normal, with the sole exception that she grew up and looked like a proper teenager now. Meanwhile, Crystalline appears before Cele and tells her that Lambda can help them if she can wake her up from her dream. Lambda awakens in her own dreamland. She is guided by a strange presence inside her mind. That presence is implied to be us, the players, who are observers from a different dimension. Look, I'm not gonna go deep into this stuff since it's not that important for the plot, and I already have another video in the making explaining all the fourth wall breaking stuff. So let's move on. As Lambda is waking up, she sees a blurry image of Cele from the future and hears her voice calling for her. Lambda reignites the torch for Teresa, and with her help, humanity is finally able to locate the cocoon of finality. Senti lets Kiana, May and Bronya know that they found the coordinates of the cocoon. They link up their authorities with Kiana, and Senti points out that May is attracting all the other Hersher authorities to her. They theorize that the authority of origin might be the power to integrate all the Hersher authorities. Soon after, Kiana is separated from the rest. Bronya believes that this might be the work of the Cocoon of Finality, who recognize Kiana as the Hersher of Finality on its own. After a beautiful cutscene, Kiana awakens as the new Hersher of Finality and faces the cocoon together with May and Bronya. She reveals that the cocoon is a mirror, and only those that are able to face themselves can become the Hersher of Finality. In his attempt to embrace humanity, the cocoon becomes a reflection of humanity itself. Though his method was close to stealing, the cocoon also recognized Kevin, and now he wonders who will be victorious between Kiana and him. We start Act 2 with Kevin's flashback from his high school days. The point of this flashback is to show us how Kevin viewed himself as someone that had talent but no character. That is also the reason why he decided to follow Dr. May and make her ambitions his own. And second, to showcase his loneliness. Just like how Sue and May were already gone by the time he managed to land the shot, nobody was around him right now to celebrate his victory over Honkai. Back on Earth, the cast prepares to depart for the moon, but Lambda interrupts them by saying that she has a gift for them. Basically, she uses the captain's wishes from the Honkai Salvation Log event, that is also the password to the master key of the game, to summon Hyperion. They board the Hyperion, and Lambda takes the place of the regular Aichon from the story. After there are no more walls to break, Kiana starts the ship and starts flying to the moon. While flying, they are attacked by imaginary constructs and use the cannons on the Hyperion to fend them off. They arrive at the usurper's throne and the fight with Kevin begins. The man uses the authority of finality and Chimera's powers to create a giant beast that represents the planet's three biggest geological eras: Paleozoic, Mesozoic, and Cenozoic. After they defeat it, Kevin transforms into a being that is the embodiment of all the Honkai beasts from Project Chimera. While fighting, he brings out a massive shield. Bronya wants to create multiple Selines to break it, like she did back in chapter 28, but Aichan brings the wishes of all the people from the world, and also all the captains that have played the game, to break not only the fourth wall, but also Kevin's shield. The three Herschers defeat Kevin, and him and Kiana are having a last exchange near the Cocoon of Finality in a true Kaslana manner. And by that I mean beating each other up with baseball. In the end, Kiana is victorious and takes on the authority of Finality, becoming the new goddess of Earth, while Kevin is finally able to reunite with his companions inside a dream as his consciousness fades away into nothingness.
Rip Kevin.
Kiana is acknowledged by the Cocoon as the true Herrscher of Finality and the only successful embrace through all the samsaras. The new goddess contacts Mei and Bronya through the powers of Finality and lets everyone on Earth know through a dream that because the Earth needs time to heal from Project Stigma and cannot handle the power of Finality, she will remain on the moon to suppress it and find a way to convert Honkai energy into a harmless resource that humanity will be able to use it for its own benefits. This process might take 5 to 10 years, and if she is successful, many new possibilities will open up for the entire human race. After she says her goodbyes to Teresa, Siegfried, Durandal, Fuhua, and Senti, Kiana goes back to the train station to meet up with Mei and Bronya. With tears in her eyes, Bronya says goodbye to Kiana Idiotka and leaves her with Mei, who will walk her to the train station. Mei tells Kiana that she wants to become a teacher because she wishes to protect and guide the new generation and most importantly, impart to them the lessons that Kiana taught her. A train whistle interrupts them as it slowly pulls into the station and opens its doors. The two girls smile at each other in silence as Kiana departs. Kiana goes through the Cocoon of Finality, completing her transformation and arriving on the moon. After some time, we see some messages from Mei and Bronya on her phone, and the chapter ends with Kiana taking a selfie and doing the game's icon pose in her Herrscher of Finality form.
So dang. So yeah, that is the end because she's on the moon. Dang.
For many years, Honkai was a...
Ow! Did you hear that? I hit my knuckles on the table. Whoa. Hold on, I'm sorry. We're not watching this video. I am gonna end it there. But look at this, the Honkai onion. Me? I'm very interested to see where that one is, and yeah, that at the ending of the Honkai there, dang. I know the one thing, the graduation thing. I see that's coming up in the playlist. We'll be getting more at that last time. But wow, definitely an emotional ending there. I could definitely see I kind of feel the feels after just seeing like a recap of it. The ending song too. The Honkai music is just so fire. It is honestly just so fire. But yeah, while that was covering the ending of part 1, like story, there is still plenty more to go on this playlist, video wise, and I believe it Probably gonna dip into part 2 at some point. I don't know, maybe that's sooner rather than later. But just a little. I don't want to get too deep. Just a little peek. The videos, at least from the surface, seem kind of part 1 related still. So yeah, we'll see. But that was a really good go about. Kind of just going over the end of Honkai, the end of part 1. And you know, we got Project Stigma, the Hersher finality, Hersher of origin, Kevin at the end. I was fine there. They were hitting each other with baseball bats. I didn't know that. I remember I watched the Kevin fight at the end, but I don't know if I ever watched that. But yeah, we'll see more about finality next time. See, just a lot of good stuff next time. So very cool, very nice. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like or dislike, subscribe or don't subscribe. You know, it's always up to you. And I'll see you guys in the next video you watch of me. Hersher finality, but not finality of this series, but just this video. I don't know. I mean, goodbye.